chicken puttanesca, honey.
Oh.
A sexy Italian dish with store-bought rotisserie chicken. This is the second chicken.
I'm just amazed at all these dishes that you're coming up with.
And this is another quick, easy meal that can last you the entire week.
What's the sauce you're making? The puttanesca.
A puttanesca, girl. It's an Italian red sauce, and it has olives in it. So it's a little briny, it's a little acidic, but it goes really well with poultry.
Ooh.
How about I show you?
Okay.
All right, come on. So I have a skillet here. I'm gonna get a little hot, add some olive oil. The first thing I'm gonna do is sweat down some onions and garlic. All right, so I have one yellow onion here that I chopped up, add some garlic. And that's another thing too that I like to do is prep my veggies. Like if I see that all my recipes have onion, I'll get like 2 or 3 onions and chop them up.
Okay.
And just have them, you know, ready to go.
Already ready. Okay, that's a good tip.
So I'm gonna add a little anchovy paste. The salty, fishy undertones play so well with the other briny flavors that go into this puttanesca. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now I have 1 can of crushed tomatoes.
Oh, wow.
A pinch of red pepper flakes. So just a little heat,
spice.
just a little spice. And while that simmers, because I need it to thicken up just a little bit with the paste and the crushed tomatoes. Got some water that's been boiling back here. Can you drop a little bit of the spaghetti? You don't have to use the entire package, it's just us. We're gonna boil it for about 10 minutes and take it out, put some cold water on top to stop the cooking process. While that's going, we gotta cut up some chicken.
Okay.
All right, come over here.
Let's go.
All right, so we have our second rotisserie chicken here that I'm gonna break down. Cut out the backbone. I don't have to shred it for this one. Basically leaving this into like cut up chicken pieces. We're gonna drop the chicken into the sauce. So it's gonna break down a little bit, loosen up, kind of become one with the sauce. You know, you wanted that sauce to get inside that meat.
Yes.
So it's been about 10 minutes. We're gonna take the chicken back over there and nestle it into the sauce.
Ooh.
I'm gonna add about a cup of olives in here. 2 tablespoons of capers. Also another element of a little brine, a little salt, a little bit of Italian seasoning right there.
Okay.
The pasta is done. I'm gonna drain it back here. Cold water. The reason you run cold water over pasta is because you don't want it to continue to cook. See, it's gotten nice and thick.
Yes.
So this is a thick sauce.
Okay.
Rich, very rich. I'm gonna add in those chicken pieces.
Okay.
Just nestle it in there. And you know the chicken is already cooked. All I'm doing right now is just warming the chicken up with the sauce.
Okay. Okay.
I'm getting that flavor infused into the chicken. It looks like you spent all day with this chicken that you cooked, slow cooking on top of your stove for hours. And you can tell your husband that too, like, look, I've been home all day making your meal. And, all right, so we got our pasta. We're good to go. Let's try it.
Okay.
I want to get you a few pieces of that chicken breast.
Okay.
And some olives. Top you off with a little oregano leaves.
Okay. Bon appetit.
Love it.
It's good, Kardea. This is so tasty.
Oh yeah. I mean, it tastes like it's been cooking for hours with the onions, the garlic, but then you get a punch of that big juicy olive when you bite into it. Do you think this is something you'll try at home?
Definitely going in the list. I know Wilson's gonna love this.
So we're gonna make a spicy lobster pasta inspired by Katie's husband, Ryan. So first here in the pan, I've got some olive oil down, some onion, garlic, and a Fresno chili. You can leave the ribs in and the seeds in for a little bit of spice.
Spice, right? Not wrong with that.
But
lobster wants spice, right? It's rich lobster.
Lobster wants spice. Now, to this,
what do you
I'm gonna add in, you know what, so this is what we're gonna do at the end. Katie likes to toss it with some fresh herbs, so that's parsley and mint, which I really love for this. Just give me a nice rough chop on that.
I can do that.
Jeff, you're obviously on salted pasta water going down over there. When they're done, reserve some of that pasta water because obviously Katie knows what's up. We're gonna thicken the sauce a little bit with that pasta water.
I have one job, literally, and then you just took it from me.
And then in the sink is the colander for you, Jeff, when you need it, okay? All right, so now to this right here.
Another Valentine's Day for Jeff without anybody.
Got an entire can of whole tomatoes.
Oh, I love whole tomatoes.
And let me show you a little trick I like with whole tomatoes. I feel like when people do the can of whole tomatoes, they use their masher like this, huh?
No.
Counterintuitive. Come in here and break them down like that.
Really?
Are you kidding me?
Less splatter.
Less splatter. I don't see zero. I see zero,
Zero
minimal
splattation.
splattation.
Zero splatter.
Minimal splattation.
Wow,
Use your kitchen
this is a
tools.
historic moment, people.
Is it?
You're
Is it?
seeing it for the first
We've been mashing wrong our whole life. Since we
Entire
were
life.
humans, since around the...
Are you joking?
No,
I never saw that.
Well, this, I mean, it's just look at it. It makes
It's
more
noisier.
sense.
It's
Yeah.
noisier.
It is noisier.
A little bit noisier, but look,
Turn
it
the
did the
TV
job, and we didn't splatter anything on ourselves. Now, to this, I'm gonna add a little bit of dry white wine. You're gonna cover this up and cook this for about 35 to 40 minutes. It's gonna get all like flavorful together. All the tomatoes are gonna cook down. It's gonna look like this. Look at this, guys, huh?
That is gorgeous.
Right?
Gorge.
So look at the beauty of that. Now, I've got 2 lobster tails. So the story with Katie and Ryan is that if it's a special occasion, Ryan loves to make lobster tails for Katie. And if it's a special occasion, Katie, oh, look at them right there. Katie loves to make pasta for Ryan. So they
Which
did
is
a
every day for
mashup.
Katie.
Yeah, oh, she does not leave a card behind, trust me. So putting these together in a dish is very loving for
it is.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
What
so I'm
about
gonna
Gus?
put these.
They're leaving him behind. I'll tell you that.
Gus probably gets a little bit of the leftovers, right?
We see how Gus is treated backstage when he's
like
here.
so
That is
look,
a dog.
I put
Very
the
good.
lobster tails right into
a
the
little-
pot. You're gonna cover this up for 5 minutes.
Oh, look at that.
2 great things happen here. The lobster obviously steams and cooks, but not all the way through because we're going to take it out, chop it, put it back in, twirl it, and then it'll finish off.
Twirl.
Yeah, give it a little twirl. But also that shell flavor gets into the tomato in that short amount of time and really makes it flavorful. All right, so after about 5 minutes, you're gonna take the lobster out, and then hopefully it's cool enough to touch. And then just crack one down the center. Is it cool enough to
it's
touch?
good.
Yeah. I like just get in there like that.
Perfectly cooked, too.
It is. You can
I
kind of
love
really
that color.
feel
Look
it.
at that. The tomato poached lobster tail.
Another 2 things. We got the chopper, secondary
and
chopper.
You're just really doing so much today. Really proud of you.
Look at
Sonny.
that. Look at that meat.
So you keep it in the shell like that?
No, she takes it out, gives it a nice little chop. So I like to kind of go in.
Hey, for those people that are on a budget, it's a good way to kind of extend the life of a lobster tail, too, in a pasta dish. You get all the flavor, you get chunks of the meat. You know, it's a little more economical than 1 lobster tail per person.
It is. I mean, we'll also go to the freezer section. You know, you don't have to buy this fresh, obviously. Go to the freezer section and buy them in bags. And a lot of times at the grocery store, they sell it already steamed for you. But I would argue that it's nice to get it raw so you can get that flavor into the pot. All right, GZ, I did all the messy work for you. If you don't mind giving that a rough
Yes,
chop for
ma'am.
me and giving it back.
Okay.
I'm gonna wash my hands really quick.
This pasta's perfect.
I've got the colander in the sink for you. The sauce is ready over here.
We want to...
Don't forget some of that pasta water.
We got it. Jeffrey
you
did
want
my
the
job
lobster?
earlier, remember?
We want the lobster.
Oh, bring it back over here. All right, and then Jeff, bring the pasta.
Here, right here?
Yeah, you can put it right back
What
into
about
the
the
pot.
herbs? What about the
Decent
herbs?
amount.
Bring me the herbs. Yep, bring everything. It's all
Water
coming
still
together, guys.
Clinging to the...
Do you know what I'm
bottoms.
saying? You like this?
I love the way we're working here. Some olive oil?
Do you think? I think Katie would like some olive oil. And what about? You think she would like pepper? Or is that wrong of me?
No.
Hey, why not? A little pep.
All right, let me get this in here.
Oi.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
with the stuff on the top. There it is.
Stuff on the top. Look at that. Where's Katie?
Oh, that's short. That's short for lobster.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at this.
I feel like Katie would also do one of these moments. You
Yeah,
know what
Mo,
I'm
you're not a
saying?
Mo, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of olive oil.
No cheese,
And
though.
there you have
No,
it.
yummy.
Katie and Ryan's Valentine's Day dish. You can do this too. You guys want to try some?
Yeah,
Try it.
come on.
You want to
dish it
serve?
up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Here you go. I don't even know.
Get in there.
In this area.
Oh, is there any
Okay,
lobster
with
over
the
there?
flip of the wrist.
I didn't neglect you. There you go. Look at one lobster for you.
Thanks a lot. What do you?
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Johnny Spaghettis. You love it. You do that. Look at this guy. A little vitamin L for you.
That's right. And I would think that even shrimp would be great in this if you
Shrimp,
can't
yeah.
find lobster
Scallops, maybe.
locally.
A little
What
fruit
am
de mar.
Wow. I'm gonna tell you something. I've never had this from Katie, but I know she would be very proud of what you did right here. This is a delicious
We did it
bite.
together.
Pasta cooked perfect. The spice is like on fire, but in such a good way. Lobster's cooked perfectly. Delicious, clean, luscious lobster flavor.
Pasta with garlic and olive oil has got to be one of the fastest meals you can make. It's pasta with garlic and olive oil and lots of Parmesan cheese. After a really busy day testing recipes, that's what I love to make. In fact, a lot of chefs call it midnight spaghetti because they make it at midnight. So the first thing I need is lots of garlic. So I've got 8 cloves of garlic. I know it sounds like a lot for a pound of pasta, but it's really worth it. And when garlic cooks, actually in the olive oil, it actually gets a little bit sweet. So I'm just gonna slice them. The proper name of this is what Italians call spaghetti aglio e olio. And I'm sure my Italian accent's just terrible, but that's basically it. It actually means spaghetti with olive oil and garlic. It sounds much more exotic, though. So, 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. It's actually quite a bit, because the garlic's gonna sort of simmer in it. 8 cloves of garlic, thinly sliced, right into the oil. Okay, that's just gonna cook for about 2 minutes, just until it starts to color, but not brown. You don't want it burnt. Okay, next is, I like a little heat in this, so I'm gonna put about 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes in. You can make it as hot or not hot as you like. So this is the curious thing about this recipe is I'm gonna add 1½ cups of pasta water. While the pasta was boiling, I actually reserved some of the pasta water. So it's hot and it's got a little bit of that starch in it. And what it's gonna do is really moisten and thicken this pasta. Teaspoon of salt. You can always add more salt later. And this can cook away for about 5 minutes, and the garlic is gonna get really tender, and the sauce is gonna be delicious. In the meantime, I need fresh parsley. I need about 1/2 cup of fresh parsley. Okay, that's the chopped parsley. Wait till you see how fast this is. Got the pasta. I'm just gonna add it to the sauce, right into the pan. And all this pasta is gonna absorb the garlic and the olive oil. Just let it cook together, just for a few minutes. So this is just 1 pound of pasta, spaghetti. I cooked it according to the package, which is about 12 minutes for this kind of pasta. And as this sits in the pasta water with the garlic, it just really absorbs all the flavors, the salt and the red pepper and all of that sweet garlic. You can really see it's being absorbed. Okay, about 1/2 cup of good parsley, and a cup of Parmesan cheese. I mean, that's gotta be good. You just toss it all together, and that's what's known as midnight spaghetti, pasta with garlic and olive oil. This smells so amazing. What a great dinner this is. A little bit of parsley, a little Parmesan. Oh my God, I can't wait to taste this. The garlic smells amazing. And I mean, how easy was this? There's a reason why chefs make this after a hard day at the kitchen.
Pizza spaghetti pie, or a spaghetti pizza pie, however you want to say it. Started with 4 eggs. I'm adding 1/2 cup of Parmesan and some mozzarella, not too much, just a little handful. A little bit of marinara sauce and 3 little spices. Some granulated garlic, some oregano, and some crushed red pepper flakes. Equal parts, that's the level of spice I like. And then I'm gonna go in with a whisk, mix this together. It needs a little bit of salt and pepper. It looks like a little bit of a puzzling concoction at this point, but just you wait. All right, so I got that stirred together. You know what? I have leftover spaghetti all the time, so it makes perfect sense to have a recipe in your arsenal like this. So leftover spaghetti, I put just a little bit of oil on it, so it is really raring to go, and it needed purpose in its life, let's face it. And then I'm using the tongs to just toss it. Look at this, just sticky, ooey gooey leftover spaghetti. And that's dinner, kids. Get excited. Just kidding. So now I've got a big old heavy skillet, and it's on low heat, It's already hot. I put some olive oil in here. And so you guessed it, the spaghetti mixture is going to go in. I'm gonna cascade it beautifully out of the bowl and into the pan. There. And then I want to push it into the sides of the pan. So the point of this stage is to start to set the bottom of the spaghetti pie. So I'm going to give it about 2 minutes on low heat until those edges just barely start to brown. All right, 2 minutes has passed. The spaghetti pie is kind of starting to set. So look at this page. I kind of started pushing a little bit of the spaghetti up on the rim because I'm gonna build a pizza out of this. So it's a spaghetti pie, but I'm gonna turn it into a pizza spaghetti pie. So first things first, pizza sauce, AKA marinara. I'll just kind of spread it over the top just like I would pizza sauce on a pizza. Grated mozzarella all over the sauce.
Over the sauce.
Yum, I like it already. I'm tempted to just stir it up and finish cooking it and just eat it out of the skillet. And then I've got pizza toppings. So very thinly sliced red onion and very thinly sliced green bell pepper rings. And then this is a really cool convenience ingredient, crumbled sausage from the freezer. It's actually sold in bags. I mean, talk about where our world is today. You don't even have to sit at the stove and cook sausage and crumble it for your pizza. Okay, and then finally, sliced black olives. One of the best pizza ingredients known to man right here. Okay, so Paige, let's go put this in the oven. Oh, boy, that's heavy. Isn't that a cool way to use leftover spaghetti, Paige?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bake this at 400 degrees. It's gonna take about 10 to 12 minutes. This has been cooling. It's out of the oven. Look at this spaghetti pizza pie. Oh. Okay, now we are gonna have some fun and try to turn this out onto the board. I already sort of ran the spatula around the edge to loosen it, but I'm gonna try to get it out in one piece because I wanna show you the beauty and glory, here goes, of a pizza pie, spaghetti pizza pie. Look at that.
Wow.
So then you just take a sharp knife and cut it into a little wedge, and then look, that's what the pizza spaghetti pie looks like. Isn't it pretty?
So pretty.
Okay, I'm gonna finish it with some basil leaves. I think this is kind of one of those conversation starters if you're having company over, or it's just an easy Tuesday night dinner for your kids, whatever you prefer. You're so cute.
So this nice ground, we'll drop that right in. Get some recycling down, break this up just a bit. Now here's the interesting thing. It's got a really crazy texture in this Cincinnati style chili meat. We're gonna cook it down to a point where it really has a real thin texture. It's kind of real fine. It's not big chunks like you might, typically find in chili. So there, a little bit of salt, some fresh cracked black pepper I always keep on hand, and we'll let that kind of work a little bit. So we're gonna take an onion, dice it up, and we'll put a little bit of onion in here to flavor the meat, but we're also gonna throw a little onion on top of it, and I'll talk about that in a second, about the chili going the 6-way. Or actually, it's 5-way. I think 6-way is when I put jalapenos on it. So we just give a little dice to this onion. Now, I recently shot on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We went to Cincinnati to do Cincinnati chili, and do you know that Cincinnatians eat over 2 million pounds of Cincinnati chili a year, topped with over 850,000 pounds of cheddar cheese? So with all of that said, it's 80-20 ground beef. So the onions go in. Now look at the ground beef. I did this ground beef, it's an 80-20, and I kind of made this beginning of breaking down the meat nice and slow, little salt, little pepper, and some onions. Now I'm gonna go into the crazy seasoning. A little bit of ginger, about 2½ teaspoons. Little mustard, so the ginger and the mustard kind of give some spice and a little bit of sweetness. Get in some cinnamon, about 2½ teaspoons. Touch of there, a little cumin. A little bit of clove. This is really identifiable in it, but not overly clovey. Overly clovey, you know what I meant. A little whole nutmeg, okay? About a teaspoon. So the nutmeg in, a little bit more salt, and then here's the real kicker, and this is just a touch of some cocoa powder, about 3/4 a teaspoon there. Now, mix it all together. It's really key to do this in a little bowl by itself, because if I just went and dumped everything right off the bat in, then what happens is I get kind of a spot of cinnamon, a spot of nutmeg, and I want this to be a nice blend all the way across the top. Now this is gonna continue to cook for about another hour, and I got some more ingredients I'm gonna add into it in just a second, but it's gonna go low and slow and really break down. It's gonna get this really nice fine texture to it. We're gonna hit it with a little bit of beef stock. There's onions in there, but what kind of makes it weird is all the seasonings that I put in. Oh, I've got everything from nutmeg and clove to cinnamon to even a little bit of chocolate. So there's about 4 cups of beef stock, some tomato sauce, and this is all part of building the real big depth and flavor. Now, for some of you that are looking at this are going, wait a second, it looks like Cincinnati chili. It's kind of from that idea. Worcestershire and apple cider vinegar. That's why I love squirt bottles. Those go in there, okay. Bucatini pasta, which is kind of a spaghetti with a hole in it, going into what's called weird spaghetti, or some people might know it as like a Cincinnati chili. It's not exact Cincinnati chili, but kind of my rendition. And we'll get that right in on top. Bring it over into the dish. Now what you see over here to my left, oh, we got some shredded cheddar and some onions, and that's gonna go on top. Look at this pasta. There we go. Some of that great meat on top of it, all those crazy spices that went into it. A little bit of the cheddar cheese. So I'm having it 2-way. I think this is now 3-way. Hit some onion on top of it, 4-way. If I went 5-way, I'd put beans on it. But this is the way I like to do it. I'm not waiting for these guys. I gotta try this. Fantastic.
I'm making spring green spaghetti carbonara. I've cooked spaghetti for about 8 minutes, which is less than al dente, and I'm going to show you why. So first I'm going to take a little bit of pasta water out, save it for later, the thing I always forget. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spring green vegetables, julienne snow peas, and sliced asparagus, and I'm just going to finish cooking the pasta and the vegetables together. How clever was that? So I cooked pancetta just until it's nice and brown and crispy. So I'm going to just take it out and let it drain on a paper towel. I'm going to add it later so it's really crispy. So that's the pancetta. Okay, now I'm going to make the sauce. And I'm doing something really unusual, but it really works. I'm going to take a big bowl and fill it with the hottest tap water. And that's going to warm the bowl. So when the raw eggs and cream go into this bowl, it's going to cook it a little bit. So just fill it up, empty it, and then immediately I'm going to put in 2 eggs and 2 egg yolks, half a cup of cream, and the hot pasta water that I just reserved. I'm just going to whisk them together. So this gets the eggs sort of starting to cook for the carbonara. Okay, so that's the mix. Now I'm going to take the peas, I'm just going to put them in for a second just to heat them up. Give it a stir. Just love the way it looks. Time to drain it. I'm just going to drain the whole thing together. Okay, now this really hot pasta and vegetables goes right into the sauce. And it finishes the cooking. I'm going to give it a big stir. Just you want all that cream and the cooking liquid to just get absorbed into the pasta. Okay, now I'm going to add lots more flavor. So first I've got scallions that have been julienned, about 1/4 cup of chopped chives, lots of Parmesan cheese, and lemon. I like that edge of lemon in this. Okay, that's the zest. And now a squeeze of lemon juice. Now lots of salt and pepper. And pepper. And now the pancetta, the final flavor in this. So the crispy pancetta right on top, The pasta's gonna heat the whole thing up. This is so good. Look how much fresher it is. This is light with all of the flavors of carbonara. I'll show you how I serve it. Just pour it right in. You can see all the vegetables and the pancetta. And it stays really hot. And it's still gonna keep absorbing the sauce. A little garnish, I think. A little more fresh chive. And next, Parmesan cheese. And maybe a little squeeze of lemon right at the end. When you need something really comforting, you don't want something too rich, I would say spring green spaghetti carbonara is just the thing.
For a meaty main course, I am making my spaghetti and juicy, loosey meatballs. To start, I've got a pound of ground beef and a pound of Italian sausage. I'm gonna season this with 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. I'll crack in a couple of eggs to bind these together, a cup of breadcrumbs, Parmesan for extra flavor, and then I'll grate half a yellow onion. I'll chop and add about 1/4 cup of fresh parsley, and I'll chop 2 cloves of garlic. Before my hands get really meaty, I'll open up my mozzarella balls. This is what makes these meatballs juicy, loosey meatballs, because a little bit of mozzarella in the center will melt down and get oozy and be that perfect little surprise. Okay, to shape these, I'm gonna divide it into 8 equal parts. And I'll take 1/8 of the meat, stick a ball of cheese right in the center, hide it like a meat dumpling, sealing it well so that the cheese doesn't melt out. Just like that. I'll stick it onto my baking sheet now and then keep on shaping my spheres. Balls are looking good. I'll bake these now at 400 degrees for 18 to 22 minutes until they're browned all over. And in the meantime, I'll get going on the rest of my spaghetti. I'm keeping it simple when it comes to the sauce so that the meatballs can be the star of the show. I'm starting with some olive oil in my brazier here, and I'll add half a sliced onion, a pinch of salt. Just stir this around and let these onions soften. In goes loads of garlic, and a little crushed red pepper for some heat, and a teaspoon of oregano will be nice. I'll stir this around, and I just want to cook this for another minute until I can start to smell that garlic. I'll pour in some tomato sauce, ladle in some water. I'll just steal it from my pasta cooking pot here, and then add my tomatoes. These are whole peeled tomatoes, and I'll just get in here with my hands to crush them up. And I like starting with the whole ones. They're actually pretty satisfying to crush, and they taste really good. Stir this all together, bring it to a boil, and then reduce to a simmer, and just let this go until it thickens. All right, I'm ready for my balls. Oh yeah, those look meaty and good. Now these are not fully cooked yet. I'm going to finish up their cooking process by simmering in the sauce. So I'll nestle these right in. And these will go for about 10 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time to get my spaghetti going. I'll first salt my boiling water, a good handful. I've got 1 pound of pasta. Give it a swirl so that it's all submerged. I'll let the pasta boil, let my balls simmer, and then I'll be ready to assemble. Oh yeah, those are some balls with a capital B. I'll drain my pasta. And I'll toss it with a little sauce so that the pasta doesn't get sticky. I'll nestle the balls on top of spaghetti. Get a little more sauce on here. I'll finish with a drizzle of olive oil for a little more richness, and a storm of Parmesan, and tear some fresh basil to finish. This is a platter of ball-tastic comfort right here. I better just taste one to make sure they're good. Oh, I'm getting a cheese pull. Look at that, right there. Spaghetti and meatballs is classic for a reason.
I have water going. We're gonna have to add salt to the water, and then we're gonna cook the spaghetti. As I mentioned earlier, when I was a kid and we would have this, we would often make it with leftover spaghetti. But you could do it from start to finish this way too. I have water simmering. I'm gonna put the salt in. It quickly comes up to a boil. At that point, we're dropping in our spaghetti. Now, if you were looking at the package of spaghetti, it would probably say cook spaghetti for 8 to 10 minutes. This is gonna get baked, so this is only gonna be about a 4-minute cook on the pasta. We're just letting it release its initial starches, start to kind of soften up a little bit so it's pliable and we can work with it, and then it'll continue to cook. So when you put that pasta in the water, give it a little stir, which is gonna help it from sticking. So what we're gonna use to kind of bind this spaghetti pie together is a little bit of ricotta cheese, some Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm just gonna grate this in here. And there's not a lot of this mixed with the noodles, but think of this almost a little bit as a binder. You have this, we're gonna toss it with tomato sauce, and this kind of holds everything together. So if you're visualizing it, you want kind of equal parts ricotta and Parmigiano Reggiano. 3 whole eggs.
Are there any cheeses besides Parm and ricotta that work really well together?
Yeah, well, Liv, this is kind of Italian themed, so I'm gonna use ricotta and Parmesan. They go great together. Pecorino Romano would also work in here. Okay, so I'm gonna clear some of this off. We are gonna take a little bit of fresh oregano, just salt and pepper.
And you didn't put the stems in there, right?
No stems. So oregano is a hardy herb. The stems tend to be a little bit on the stronger side, so I would not put those in here. Pinch of salt, but we don't need a whole lot of salt because Parmigiano Reggiano is a salty cheese. And then we're just gonna whisk this all together. To this mixture, we are gonna add, about 2 cups of marinara sauce. You can make your own marinara sauce if there's one that you love at the store. Not adverse to it. This is the basic recipe of Marcella Hassan, which is my basic tomato sauce. We've made it on the show before. You could find the recipe on the Food Network website. So we're gonna put half of this in here.
It matches your tracksuit so well.
See, maybe that's what this tracksuit was all about. We're gonna reserve the rest to warm up to serve with our spaghetti pie. You know what I'm saying?
No sauce left behind.
No sauce left behind. So our pasta should be about ready, and it is.
Do you ever leave the top on the pot while cooking?
No. The only time I put a lid on something if I want it to boil quicker.
Okay.
But you can see that the noodle, it's pretty al dente. We're gonna add this to our sauce, and it's gonna appear to be relatively saucy. But remember, this noodle is gonna continue to cook as it is baking. So it's gonna absorb this sauce and continue to cook as it bakes. We have cheesecake pan, a little bit of olive oil spray. And the reason that we're putting a spray on here is just so things don't stick. You could certainly do this with just butter. So we're just coating the inside. We're going to take our nice al dente pasta and that sauce, and we're going to put it right in our cheesecake pan. Give it a little press down. And now we're gonna top this with fresh mozzarella. Good amount, so it's good and cheesy. And then once that mozzarella goes on, and you could even go with more cheese if you want, we're gonna top it with a little bit of the Parmigiano Reggiano.
Is Parmesan Reggiano the same as just Parmesan?
No. Parmigiano Reggiano is Parmesan from Italy, P-A with the G-I-A-N-O. Parmesan, P-A-R-M-E-S-A-N, is an American version of this cheese.
Oh.
There's good Parmesan in America, but there is nothing like Parmigiano Reggiano. Our grill, if you look down at our grill right now, it's at about 400 degrees. So we're looking for 350 to 400 degrees temp in the grill. And we're gonna use our grill as an oven. You can see we have coals in back. The settings on the airflow are tamped down to about 25%. That's gonna give us that 350 to 400. We're gonna set this off the flame. So the coals are in back. We're gonna put our lid back down. We're gonna let this start to bake till it gets golden brown on top. It's gonna take about 20 to 30 minutes depending on stuff. So use your senses. check it after about 10, see where you are, cheese melts, pasta sets up, pasta pie is gonna be fantastic. We're still holding right about 400 degrees. Look at the cheese is starting to melt. The whole thing is starting to kind of bake together, set up. That's what we're looking for there. We let it rest for about 10 minutes, kind of like you would with the lasagna.
It just helps it set up a little, right?
Yep, I just went around the edge to make sure that we're gonna get a nice clean release.
Wow. Look at it.
I mean, come on.
Birthday cake.
You could put a candle in this.
Absolutely.
And then we're just gonna cut it up.
Oh, look at it. It just holds really
Well,
nicely.
yeah, I put some eggs and ricotta in there. So
it's a binder.
Has a
What
little bit of a
delicious
binder. Yeah. I have a little bit of fresh basil from the garden, some Parmesan, some olive oil. So I'm just gonna do a little
bring a plate
piece
up
of the cheese. Look at it.
Look at that.
That is a work of art.
And then we're gonna top
gorgeous.
this with some of that warmed up marinara right on top. A little bit of fresh basil and some Parmesan cheese. And then we have this grilled radicchio with that creamy dressing. Little bit of extra virgin oil. Come on, Sunday supper. All right.
Gorgeous.
Let's do it. What do you want to try first?
I'm gonna go right for the birthday cake.
Birthday cake, then salad.
It's really good. The sauce is perfect. It's delicate. Even though this looks like it would be heavy, this is way lighter than like a lasagna.
Okay, so 2 tablespoons of freshly minced parsley. I need about a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I think it's unusual in meatballs, but I think it gives it lots of flavor. One egg. All these ingredients are designed to either flavor it or hold it together. So I'm just going to beat it a little bit. Pour it on top. Now some seasoning. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And here's the surprising part, warm water. 3/4 cup. I actually learned this trick from Rayo's, that famous Italian restaurant in New York. And it keeps the meatballs so moist you wouldn't believe it. Okay, clean hands, cook's best tool. And you want to do this really lightly. You don't want to sort of compact it. You want to fluff it up and still mix them together. Oh, this smells so good. So this is going to make about 16 really good-sized meatballs, which is perfect for my guests. So I've got 1/4 inch of oil. It's half olive oil and half vegetable oil. I'm just going to saute these and just keep turning them so they brown evenly on all sides. I'm doing them in 2 batches, so I don't want to overcrowd them so they brown nicely. So the second batch of meatballs are done. I'll just cook them 10 minutes until they're nice and browned, and then I'm going to finish cooking them in tomato sauce. Okay, I'm just going to pour off all the oil that I used for cooking the meatballs. So I'm going to use the same pan. It's got all that great flavor from the meatballs. A little bit of fresh olive oil. 1 cup of onions. It's 1 or 2 onions, depending on how big they are. And they're going to cook for 10 minutes until they're really tender and flavorful. And now I need some wine for the sauce. Okay, 1½ teaspoons of garlic. I do the garlic at the end because it burns really quickly. You can smell the garlic immediately. It's wonderful. Okay, 1/2 cup of red wine. Deglaze the pan. Get all those really crusty bits from the meatballs. It really flavors the sauce. And cleans the pan too. 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Okay, it smells great. About a tablespoon of parsley, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of pepper. Just gonna cook that together for a minute. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is take the meatballs and just put them right back into the sauce, and they're gonna cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, just put them all in. Yikes. Tomato sauce and meatballs. Oh. Big bunch of basil, right in the middle. Big spoons. Can't wait to see their faces.
I'm making one of my favorite comfort food casseroles, chicken spaghetti. And it's my husband's favorite, my kids' favorite, so it's gonna work out well for me. I start chicken spaghetti by boiling a chicken. I just put a whole cut up chicken in a pot, brought it to a boil, then reduced the heat and simmered it for 25 minutes. Now the chicken is really tender, it's falling off the bone, so I'll let that cool for a second. Now for the casserole recipe, I'll need some chicken broth, so I just used the broth that was created by cooking the chicken. This is such a simple dish. And one of the things that makes this casserole so great is that it's easy to eat. And part of the reason for that is I break the spaghetti into pieces. So I just do it right over the pot. And I cook the spaghetti right in the broth that I cooked the chicken in, so it gives the spaghetti great flavor. This is about 1 pound of spaghetti pieces. Okay, now while the spaghetti's cooking, I'll get the chicken ready. It's cool enough to handle, so I'm just gonna hold it over the bowl that I'll mix the casserole in, take off the skin as I go, and then I'm just grabbing the chicken and shredding it with my fingers. I've got a diced onion and diced green and red bell pepper. Now most of this casserole recipe is from scratch, but there's one ingredient I just can't reproduce, and that's canned cream of mushroom soup. So I'll just go ahead and add in the salt and pepper, and then I add just a little bit of seasoned salt. It gives it some great flavor, just about 1/2 teaspoon or so. Now this is also optional, but I like to give the chicken spaghetti a little kick, and I add some cayenne pepper. Just probably 4 or 5 little sprinkles. Now I'll just give this a stir. And I think the spaghetti should be ready by now. So I'll just make it easy and just pull it right out. Save myself a long trip to the sink to drain this stuff. Got the spaghetti in there, so I'll just give it a stir. Start introducing all the ingredients. Then the broth goes in. I'll start with about 1 cup of the broth that I reserved, and then at the very end, I'll check and see what the consistency's like, and I can always splash in more. All right, now I'm gonna grate some cheese. I use sharp cheddar cheese because it's particularly delicious in this casserole when it all melts. And I'll just throw 2 cups right into the bowl with the spaghetti mixture. Okay, now this is where I check the consistency, and it does look like it needs a little more liquid. Because it's baking in the oven, you want it to be a little bit liquidy when it goes in. Then it won't get thick and gloopy. Okay, now I'll just pour it into a casserole dish. Scrape all that yumminess in there. And then I have more cheese left, and it just goes over the top. If this casserole is wrong, I don't want to be right. All right, now this just needs to go into a 350-degree oven for about 35 or 40 minutes. You guys hungry for lunch?
Yes. Yeah. Starving.
So who's the hungriest?
Me. Josh.
Ooh, Josh.
Josh is.
You're gonna get a big old helping. Here, Josh, you can serve some salad.
Oh, wow.